All right, guys. There's a special guest we wanted to get on to kick off 2023 because we know he has a big year ahead of him as well. He's currently on an epic 8-fight win streak, and he joins us on the show to tell us what's next. Beneil Dariush, thank you so much for joining us and kind of your new unofficial home in 2023 Submission Radio. It's good to have you back at the house.
Yeah, man. We're doing good. This is like 3 in a row. We're doing great.
Three in a short time. I know, man. We're going steady. I like this. I like where this is heading. Happy New Year. Happy belated. Last couple of times we chatted, I guess the big thing was you talking to the UFC and sort of figuring out where exactly your career is headed, what they want from you, et cetera, et cetera. So got to get the update, man. What was the meeting like with the UFC? How did it all go?
So met with Dana. Dana's cool. You know, it's my first meeting with him in like an actual one-on-one sit down in the 9 years that I've been in the UFC. And Dana's cool, easy guy to talk to. We went over stuff and seemed like they wanted me to fight Charles Oliveira, and I was like, great, let's do it. That sounds good. The timetable I gave them was February or March is ideal for me, so I could be ready by that time. But to be honest with you, I haven't heard anything back since. So I'm assuming maybe the other party hasn't really stepped up or what. I'm not sure because I asked for either Charles. I said I'll fight Charles. I'll fight Dustin Poirier. I even said if the Volkanovski fight hasn't officially been set, I'll fight Islam. So I threw my hat in there for everybody, but I haven't heard much yet. So that's kind of stuck in limbo right now, as usual. I've told you boys that's kind of where I live.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, just to cut in there before you go, Dennis. As far I know, like you were saying, do they need me to do more promoting or do anything differently or anything like that? Did you guys talk about anything else other than sort of like specifically fight stuff or like opponents?
No, they were pretty much. That was pretty much it. They were just talking about like, hey, these are the names, and they mentioned Oliveira. They didn't mention Dustin Poirier because at that time he was supposed to fight Chandler, and they didn't know if he was going to win or Chandler was going to win. And then so it was just Oliveira, which sounded great to me at the time, but I still haven't heard anything. And I've heard he wants to take some time off, is what he wrote.
Yeah,
and I don't know. So. They didn't mention anything as far as approaching my or how I approach things. They didn't mention anything on that either. They didn't say I need to do more talking or less talking or more wild stuff or less wild stuff. Who knows?
So I guess the other thing is we were speaking about title shots and kind of how they view you. Did they clarify anything like that? Like did Dana mention how much you mean to the company, what they think of you? And did he give you a clear roadmap to potentially getting a title shot?
See, that's the frustrating thing. They never give me a positive answer on like, hey, you're next. Obviously my manager is going to be my biggest fan. He's like, you're definitely next. You have an 8-fight win streak, 3 fights in the top 10. One of them was top 5. You have to be next. Who could be next? And I'm like, listen, they've said things like that to me before. They said I was going to be the alternate. Stuff like that. So I don't. I understand how the business is run, and I understand I got to do my part. So and also, what if I have to wait a whole year before I fight? That doesn't sound fun.
How much of the discussion was like even for other opponents, say specifically at the Perth card at UFC, 284? I know at one point you were saying, "Hey, Rafael Fiziev, that's a name that I like the sound of." Was there much discussion on like specifically fighting in Perth?
No, they didn't even really mention Perth. I said I could be ready for February if they want to put me on that card, and they kind of liked the idea, but it looked like they were leaning more towards even earlier than that.
Oh.
They were talking about the card in Brazil is what they wanted to put me on, and I told them, listen, I went and did some MRIs and whatnot. I told them, listen, my MCL's torn. I didn't realize it was torn at the time before the fight. My knee was bugging me, but nothing too crazy. I told him I just want to be able to go into my training camp feeling normal with my knee, not having to think too much about it. Let's do February because January might be too early. And they said, okay. They said, okay. And then they even mentioned March then. And I said, all right, that's fine with me. So I've been waiting on them, but I haven't heard anything. And then it's the thing that frustrates me is I like having long camps now. I like having a 10-week camp because, I'm not young anymore. I like studying my opponents. I like taking my time. So having like 5 weeks to prepare for a fight doesn't do it for me. I'm fighting the best guys in the world. I'm trying to fight number 1, number 2 guys in the world. I don't want 4 weeks. I don't want 5 weeks. I want a full camp.
Mm. I see you got some gray coming through there, Beneil, but you kind of look like the Richard Gere of the UFC, like Silver Fox is ready to take that.
I'm as gray as you get. This is probably good lighting where you guys don't see all of it. It's actually worse.
Damn.
I grow out my beard just so I look kind of young. Because if I shave my face, people are like, "Oh my gosh, your hair is all gray." My beard, at least, I don't have too much gray.
You got to do a mohawk. Takes off like 15
If you guys
years.
have any sponsors that fix gray hair, maybe we should talk.
Well, I was going to say, you look like you're ready for a coffee down Fitzroy Street and Chapel Street. Very hipstery, very cool. But I just want to confirm. So no plans of coming down to Perth at all? No plans to come down to Australia? Because you'd think, even if you're not on the card, might be good just to be there in the crowd to kind of challenge the winner.
That's not a bad idea. That's something I should talk to them about. I might actually do that. They might. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll come down to Perth. That would make a lot of sense.
You could be a guest fighter. You can kind of stake your claim a little,
That's
you got a lot of fans. We know you have a lot of fans in Australia. We spoke about that last time.
Shoot. Now I got to talk to the 2 bosses. I got to talk to the UFC and I got to talk to my wife because the other problem is we're 7 months now. We're 7 months pregnant, so we'll be about 8 months pregnant. So that's why I was trying to fight so quick. I'm like, let's fight again so I can get the baby, take care of my baby, and then go. But I mean, baby doesn't really get in my way. I do my training and then I come take care of babies. It's not rocket science, It's just if you're not lazy, it's actually quite easy.
Yeah, I'll come to you for tips in about 2.5 years, Beneil, when I have my first. Dennis already has his first, so
I'll come to you for tips after this interview.
I look forward to
it. So, just on Dustin, I am curious because I'm curious to get your thoughts on Dustin sort of saying flat out that he's not interested in fighting you, even though he really does respect you. He just said that he sort of doesn't get super excited about fighting you. I'm curious what your thoughts were on that.
I wish he'd be a little bit more clear as to like what is it that doesn't excite him about me? Is it like are my fights not exciting enough, or is it a skill issue, or is it just because I don't have the name? If it's just because of the name, man, he should really consider. And I say this as nicely as possible. I'm not trying to be a dick. But he should really consider retiring, because if you're going to look for the names, if you're going to look to fight only guys that, the name will get you. Bro, there's dogs coming. There's dogs, and they're young and they're hungry and they're looking to kill, There's guys out there already, and there's not a whole lot of Michael Chandlers left out there in the division. Like, how many more fights like that can you get? You're gonna have to fight one of these dogs, and currently I'm at the forefront of these guys. So either step up or think about doing something else. And he seems successful. So if you're not genuinely fighting, is not a sport you want to be half-hearted about. So if he's not 100% in, he should really reconsider what he's doing.
I know you mentioned Charles was a possibility, Dustin's a possibility, then also the champion's a possibility. But I wonder, that specific Dustin matchup, like when you kind of look at how you match up with him and how that one goes, how does it kind of play out in your mind, and how does he look like as a matchup for you?
I assume he would start kind of slow and he kind of builds up, and with that being said, I have to take advantage of that. Start fast and never really give him an opportunity to take off, because he starts slow, but once he gets in his rhythm, he's very good. I would say he's on the verge of being great.
Yeah, I would love to see the fight, man. Like, just kind of like you said, like sort of.
Me too. Like, I actually, I'm like, dang, man, these are guys I genuinely want to fight. Like, the reason why I fought Gamrot wasn't because I had to fight Gamrot. It wasn't like they were making me fight him. I fought Gamrot because I was like, bro, look at the fight he just had with Arman. What a freaking fight. And it got my blood pumping, So I was like, let me fight this guy. And it's the same thing when I watch Dustin Poirier fight Michael Chandler. It gets me pumped, and I want to fight these guys. They're great. They do certain things so well, and it would be great to be able to compete against them. But he just can't do anything about it when they don't want to do it.
It's crazy. So Gamrot, for example, you took a fight with a guy that a lot of people in your position might have not, because he's, a young up-and-comer and there's a lot to lose there. But now you're also saying you had the torn MCL going into that fight. Did you know it was torn, and how much did that actually impact you?
I didn't. I thought maybe it was sprained, because I to be honest, I have MCL injuries quite a bit. Just maybe the way my anatomy is. I've torn my MCLs on both sides before as well. I tore my MCL on the other side before I fought Jakar Close like 2 weeks out, and it bothered me for a couple of days, and then it was fine. I just wasn't as stable as I would like, and the MCL doesn't really bother me. Stuff like that, you get past. If it's, unless it's a broken leg where I can't walk, it's not gonna get in the way. Because if it's just a little bit of pain, you can get past a little bit of pain. It's just when you can't do your basic movements, then it becomes a problem.
That's crazy though, but it makes the victory and the fight itself even more impressive. So
wow.
A lot of respect, man. I know, like, you were saying that you want these long camps, the 10-week camps, ideally, but I almost feel like because UFC 284, the title fight, is only, 4 weeks away from now, is there almost a benefit to maybe not having a fight lined up until after that fight happens? Maybe because there's a little bit more clarity there.
Maybe. It's when you get into the politics of it, it's so difficult, because here's what happens. I start to think about every certain situation. Okay, well, Islam wins, he needs to go into Ramadan, and then are they going to give me the fight for sure, or are they going to make me wait, or are they going to make me fight somebody else? Is someone going to do something? Maybe, for example, I was thinking about it. You get Dustin Poirier, he fights one more time, and he fights somebody else besides me, and then they might possibly put him ahead of me because he's already ranked ahead of me, right? Okay, that's one option. Another thing is what happens with Volkanovski. If Volkanovski wins, he has to go back and he has to defend his belt at 45. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to deal with that. Then I have to wait. Who knows how long it's going to be? What if he gets injured and now I'm out for so long? And then, the sport is what have you done for me lately? So all these thoughts start to play in my head, but wait and see is not a bad strategy, surprisingly. Wait and see is not a bad strategy in MMA, and it's worked out for a lot of guys. It's just I'm very impatient. Even though I don't act like it, I'm very impatient.
I hate to add another sort of scenario here, Beneil, because I know, like, you're a bit like me, and I think about these things all the time, and then Casper's like, stop thinking about these things. But what about if it was an immediate rematch? Because we know the UFC loves to book these immediate rematches, especially when the champion loses.
So you're saying if it's a close fight and they do an immediate rematch, or if Volkanovski wins, they just say immediate rematch? Is that what you're saying?
On Islam's part of the world, I mean, I could see it happening. I'm not a big fan of them at all, but I'm just adding into the mix. Sorry, man.
Yeah, that's another one I would have to deal with. But I mean, what I've found to be the thing that's very, very easy to do and comforting is just be like, hey, give me a name. And then once I have an opponent, life is a lot more clear. This is the guy in front of me. This is what I need to do. Let everything else take care of itself. So whatever they end up doing, I'm not going to sit around forever. If things go the way you just mentioned, and I got to fight again, let's do it. Please give me a name as quickly as possible. And, I'm not a fan of the physique fight just because I would rather fight Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira, but like, he's a name. I do get excited for him because he's a tough fighter. I could definitely see myself fighting him, but in reality, I shouldn't have to fight him right now. I should be fighting these other guys, or I should be fighting for the title. So if that's the route it ends up going, that's the route it goes. But I just don't want to overthink it. I've thought about it too much, and at this point, I'm like, all right, let's just wait and see, I guess, because they're not really giving me any other options.
Yeah, I feel you there. It makes a lot of sense given the position that you're in at the moment. All right, just quickly before we talk UFC 284 and move on. Speaking of options, Happy New Year from our good friends over at Manscaped. The ball has officially dropped. That doesn't mean that you have to drop the ball on your balls in 2023, whether you had the news kiss or not. The leaders in below the waist grooming technology have you covered for your much needed resolution of bringing sexy back to the boys downstairs in 2023. Don't forget the Performance Package 4.0 is your best bet as far as your best grooming technology and keeping everything, nice and tidy downstairs. You get the Signature Lawnmower 4.0, the advanced skin-safe technology. It reduces cuts and nicks on your delicate parts, and it also comes equipped with a 4000K LED spotlight that will shine a light to the promised land on 2023. It also makes one of those, the airplanes when they land, they got the spotlights. You got the spotlight on your shaver right here. This is where the party's at. Also in the Performance Package 4.0, you get the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Ultra Premium Body Wash, the Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, Ultra Premium deodorant, Crop Preserver anti-chafing ball deodorant, Crop Reviver ball spray toner, and the free gifts of boxes and the Shed Travel bag. You'll be one premium man, no doubt about it. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. And you know what? Why not get onto it early? Ladies, if you're listening to this, Valentine's Day, it's just in the middle of Feb. Why not jump on it early? Get your man some Manscaped in his life with the code word submission, 20% off and free shipping. Now, and while you're getting things sorted, there's only one place to sort yourself out by securing that bag for all sports that are happening in 2023. And that is our friends at MyBookie, where you guys could get 100% match deposit by using the code word submission. That's right. You guys could bet anything, anytime, anywhere with our friends at MyBookie. And all you got to do is use the promo code submission to claim your deposit bonus dollar for dollar, all the way up to 1K. What about all the sports that are happening right now? The NBA, the NFL, the boxing, so many crazy upsets, so many crazy odds, so many crazy opportunities to set yourself up for a sexy holiday to kind of enjoy a little bit of 2023 as it comes very early. Perth is just around the corner, big UFC card around the corner. Maybe you want to fly down and enjoy the festivities. Maybe you want to go to Thailand, Bali, or wherever it is you want to go. MyBookie sorts you out by giving you the best odds and that deposit bonus. Go there right now and use that code word submission. Get that 100% match deposit bonus, and make sure to look out for the odds for all the upcoming UFC cards. There's some big ones coming up. MyBookie is the only place to go, Cass, to get that money.
That's right. And if you are doing a little bit of traveling, you mentioned Thailand before, Dennis, don't forget, use a VPN like NordVPN to keep all your data safe. Don't be using dodgy Wi-Fi in airports or Airbnbs or any other places unless you're covered and protected with NordVPN so that people can't steal your shit, steal your credit card details. And also, probably my favorite thing about a VPN like NordVPN is you can use it to get stuff cheaper. We all know, Dennis, you got the story about the NBA League Pass. You didn't want to play. You don't want to pay Australian rates because of the currency. So you made your computer think you were in, I don't know, Indonesia or Philippines or something. One NBA League Pass coming up at a much, much discounted rate. Isn't that right?
That's right, man. Look, NordVPN just basically connects you to all the content around the world, basically at a reduced price. And what about watching coverage for sports like boxing, BT Sports? Our friends over there at Showtime, Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell, you don't get to really see their coverage if you watch the streams that are local here. Or what about if you want to join up to Hulu or any of the other streaming platforms? It's easy and simple to use NordVPN and access the world's content. Or why not just access one spot rather than having to sign up to multiple subscriptions? NordVPN has you covered if you're traveling and you still need to access your existing subscriptions. It's basically a must-have for everybody in 2023. And they're giving you a crazy deal where you get a massive, massive discount plus 4 months for free. And it's completely risk-free with Nord 30-day money-back guarantee. Just click the link in the description below or go to nordvpn.com/submission. And there's just no excuses for it, guys. It will absolutely change your life. Just try it today. Best app in the game as well for your phone. Just absolute life-changer, NordVPN, Cass.
No speed throttling, no buffering. Nothing to it, just to do it. All right, Beneil. So I know last time we were speaking about the big fight at UFC 284, Volko versus Makhachev, and you sort of gave us some of your early thoughts. As we're, a lot closer now, we're about 4 weeks away. Who are you sort of leaning towards in this one?
it's hard not to lean towards Makhachev. He's bigger. He's got the range. He's got grappling. He has very good grappling fundamentals, and I haven't really seen enough of Volk's grappling, to be honest with you. I haven't really watched enough of it, so it's hard to say, man. I'm leaning towards a decision for Islam, but it could be Volk, bro. He could be hard to take down. He could be able to get back up and then patiently just wears out Islam on the in the stand up, you know. But yeah, I'm right now. I'm leaning towards Makhachev.
All right, and then we've got to finish out on you. So last question, 2023. We're kicking off the new year. We're lucky enough to speak to you. It's a big year ahead for all of us. You got the new kid on the way. Congratulations with that. Just outside of fighting, what are a couple of things on Beneil Dariush's hit list that he's got to get ticked off outside of getting the title shot and looking like a sexy Richard Gere?
All right, so things that I would like to do. I'd like to go to Australia. I'd like to take my whole family and go to Australia because we want to go to Hawaii, but it didn't work out. So I'd like to go to Australia. That's definitely something I want to do. We just came back from Asia, and it was, bro, that's a long trip. Australia is like a 20-hour flight right now. So that's one thing I would like to do. What else would I like to do? I'd like to start ballet with my daughter because all she sees is fighting. Literally every single thing she sees is fighting, from my practices to when I come home and I study tape and all this. And my wife will be like, "Hey, Alva, do some punching or boxing or something," and then she'll start punching. And she's a year and a half.
Wow.
So she's starting punching and kicking in the air, and the last thing I need is for my daughter to fight. I'm like, come on, bro. She's my little princess, so no fighting. So the things that I'm looking forward to is a little bit of traveling to places near the water and starting ballet with my daughter. That should be interesting.
I love it, man. That's amazing. When I think of ballet, I always think of Arnold Schwarzenegger and pumping iron, like doing ballet for like the poses and stuff. There's something macho about ballet. When you're a badass, there's something macho about it.
Well, I will say this, athleticism wise, they are probably some of the best athletes because what they can do with their movement is actually very difficult. Their balance, they supposedly balance and athleticism are supposed to be very relevant to each other. And so if that's the case, they might be the best athletes in the game. But that's not why I'm trying to put her in there. I'm trying to get her there so she can be not like her father. That's the goal.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be seeing some sweet pirouettes from Beneil Dariush in his next outing. Some sweet spinning kicks.
What is the spin called?
I think,
the little thing they do?
Isn't that the pirouette? I don't know. My knowledge.
Come out to the Black Swan and just dance your way to the octagon. That will freak someone out.
How do you know that? Who taught you that?
Pumping iron, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the daddy of ballet.
Oh, okay.
And only that.
He'll be on one toe, spin around, 6 kicks. Anyway, follow the man for more ballet tutorials and more recipes at Beneil Dariush on the socials. Beneil, thank you so much for chatting with us, man. Love the updates. And like we said last time, I hope you get that big fight. You definitely deserve it.
Yeah, my pleasure, boys. I wish I had more news for you, but just like you, I'm kind of just hanging out in limbo until I figure it out.
That's all right. Appreciate the update, and we'll definitely chat with you soon.
Anytime, brother. Take care.
Thanks, Beneil. Bye.